Okay. All right, so let's hit the ground running. So, my name is Leo Sheridan. I'm the Capacity Building Assistance Manager here at Health HIV. I work on the Empower program. The Empower program, in conjunction with Howard University. Howard University is a program meant to uplift and elevate HIV awareness specifically for Black women. And so today we're presenting as part of the Stigma Conference. And this session is going to focus on our guests, Cece and Dwayne, who we have hailing from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And so I'm actually going to open up the floor and let them introduce themselves. So, Cece, Dwayne, if you want to just take a few moments and let everybody know who you are and what you're about.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. Thank you so much for bearing with us through these technical difficulties at the beginning. Well, I am Sierra CC Colvin. I am a mom. I am director of programs at the Well Project, which is a nonprofit that serves women and girls living with HIV. I'm an advocate, activist, and I've been doing this work, starting with online advocacy since about 2018. And so this is a really special space for me because today, hey, Tiffany! Today is a special space for me because it's the first time I get to share this space with Dwayne, and I usually keep them real closed off. I keep that part of my life a little more quiet. So this is really, really special for me.
All right, and yeah, if y'all get me, I'm Dwayne Brown. I'm a father and a soon-to-be husband to this lady right here. And I'm a welder by trade, and I just work hard to keep a happy home. And I'm excited to share this HIV adventure with Sierra.
So thank you so much for joining us. So today, the title of this webinar is Between Us, Love Outside the Shadow of HIV Stigma. And so we are talking with Cece and Dwayne as they are a mixed couple, or as some people like to say, a serial discordant couple. Just to kind of level set and define that for the room, one person in that type of relationship has HIV, and then the other person in that type of relationship does not. I myself am also in a mixed couple or serial discordant relationship, so I can absolutely relate to this, and I'm excited to have you both here with me today. So let's jump in with our first question. So this is for both of you, whoever would like to answer. How have societal perceptions and stereotypes about HIV shaped your experiences in your current mixed status relationship? And how have you kind of worked through that?
Okay, so how has society's perception? So I think as the person living with HIV, coming into any situation, like that internalized stigma from the
Mm,
beginning hits you. So it's maybe not even society first. It's however I'm feeling. Then you get to the point, we're using all these technical words like disclosure. That's not my most favorite word, but sharing your HIV status. When you get to that point of a talking or courting of any situation of any type, that can be hard. And then, like, depending on how much that other person knows about HIV or what they've heard about HIV, that can be stressful. And then once you make it past that point where you both have decided that this is something you're gonna move forward with, then it's like, dang, do the family need to know? We're about to have a baby now, Is it still necessary for the family to know? I have to feed this baby, and will the family feel some type of way about how I've chosen to? So it's like society has so much of an input on the way that I, as a person, should be living with HIV, and then how I engage other folks who are living with HIV. And that is already competing with how I feel about myself as a woman living with HIV.
No, absolutely. I love that. And I love your view on, labels. They can be too heavy at times. And we just really need to get down to like, these are people we're talking about, these are lives we're talking about, these are families we're talking about. You all have a wedding on the horizon, so congratulations. Do you feel in this relationship, because of your advocacy and because of your outreach, CC, that this wedding is somewhat of like a protest? Do you feel like it's, leading example for those that might be in mixed relationships as well, saying that, hey, you can do it too. We're doing it over here.
I would hope so. That isn't what drives any decision I make in life, but that's part of my purpose. That's why I started out in advocacy, because I was just this regular Black girl in my life. I'm regular. HIV has been a part of my life, that's so objective, regular. But to me, normal is living with HIV because I've been living with it for so long. So
Mm.
I'm just a Black girl from Philly, with Southern roots, living my life. And I also happen to have HIV. So through all of that, the decision to share our child with social media from almost the point of conception, it felt like, and to go through that decision of how we were going to feed the baby and all of those things, I would just hope that me standing authentically in who I am would inspire. So I'm sharing this part of my life too with the world is like finding love. Love can certainly happen despite an HIV status.
Absolutely. It can definitely happen. And, we're a testament to that. And I hope, we continue to kind of inspire those outside of this circle that might have that fear that they might not, find that love or find that friendship, whatever it is. Everyone is deserving. So family is super important to both of you. And I just wanted to kind of jump into that aspect a little bit. How have you had conversations with your family about like your mixed status? Have you faced any adversities and challenges in that?
Mhm.
All right, so for me, when I first disclosed the information to my mother, like it wasn't really no like she didn't look frown upon it or anything like that. She just accepted it just like I did. And I'm sure it was like situations in the past where one of our family members might have had a spouse with HIV or something like that. So like they had a little history of it and knew how to deal with it. So that was pretty much on my end.
I love that. I think, your mother sounds super progressive and accepting. So that's all we could hope for, right? And
But I
has,
don't always be feeling that way. Can I jump in?
yeah, of course.
I don't always feel that way, and it's not, with a particular family member, but once again, that internalized stigma, like at the getting diagnosed at the time of my life that I did, 20 years old, new to sex, new to the world, new to all these things, and all I had in my head about what an experience with HIV would be like was like it was grim and dark, and it's not what you want. So I've already taken on all of this stigma
Mm,
from the beginning. And so like my life just each day that I live like goes against all of those thoughts that I had from the beginning. Like, oh wait, I can actually like love myself despite an HIV status. I actually
mm,
can. And so, because of my own ignorance at the onset of my diagnosis, often perceive that other folks come from the same space. That's not fair. They may be more progressive, as you just said. But I know because I was ignorant, I thought certain types of ways that I just assume the worst sometimes out of folks. So, if you leaving bleach in the bathroom after I use the bathroom, I just feel like you're trying to make us, but that could be a rational thought. They just might
mm.
bathroom clean. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. And how do you navigate that stigma? Because I know even for myself, it creeps up. And, my partner and I have to have conversations because some of it is so deep seated that you don't even necessarily know you're doing it to yourself, right? How do you all combat that?
So therapy has been a tool that we've recently begun to lean on. And that's where I learned that some of my thoughts might not be rational. You know, that I like, what evidence do you have to support this thought that is going on in your head right now? I lean on him a lot to be like that, the level-headed person. You gonna agree?
Yeah. Straightforward and simple.
Sometimes I need that to, because my whole world it was shaken up by HIV diagnosis, to have someone standing on the outside to be like, okay, it might not be exactly how you feel. Somebody that I know love me, because anybody could say that, but no, you know me, you love me. Okay, it's not like that. Well, what did they mean for real then?
I love that. I love that. And it sounds like you two have a good balance, So when stigma rears its ugly head, there's kind of a warrior with you to, help suppress it. And that's great. Help deal with it. And therapy is such um a good combative tactic for stigma, because stigma changes. And I think a lot of people forget about that. It's not just something that you grow up with. We're kind of thrown stigma constantly as we continue to age, right? So that's great. I'm glad that you found kind of one of many solutions to combating that. I want to pivot now because you and I had a great conversation. We were recently at a conference, and we connected and met face to face, for the first time. And you talked about how Dwayne really inspired you to kind of move forward in breastfeeding for your child and kind of what that looked like. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I could tell you a whole lot about that. So, sometimes folks only see the front face and, the person that's showing up in the advocacy space, the person that is doing all the work. And I try to give, kudos to where, kudos are deserved. And Dwayne has been by my side since I I started Healing is Voluntary, which is my blog that I introduced myself to the world with. He was there today. I was so scared. He held my hand. And I often wonder if I would have had the courage to do that if he wasn't beside me.
Mm,
And so then years later, now we end up pregnant with a baby and having to make a decision such as that. And, I do the online advocacy thing, Instagram specifically. And there are times when the comments can just be so vile and so nasty and so vicious. And during my pregnancy was where I really experienced a lot of that, and talking about breastfeeding specifically. And to know that I had the support from, like, he's the most important person. Like, if he had a problem, that would have made the decision so much harder to make.
mm,
The fact that I have a partner that is like willing to listen and learn. Like, we can go to the doctor together and ask these questions, like ask the question to the pediatrician, and then him allowing me to make that decision and him to trust that. I couldn't ask for nothing more. Cause I can't imagine the internet beating you up. Some of the doctors at the doctors is beating you up. Some people around you, your community could be beating you up, because why would you make a decision like that? And then to have your partner on top of all of that, I can't imagine what that life would have been like.
mm. No, absolutely. And what was one thing that you can think of from that whole process that you wish you could tell another mother who happens to be HIV positive to think about if they're deciding to breastfeed?
I My first answer is community, because you can see one of my community right here, but it takes like whatever it takes for you and your community. At some point, it's friends, it's therapy, it's coworkers, it's mothers and uncles, like whatever that tribe looks like for you, I think is going to be extremely important. And folks that know you, that understand, oh no, not like that. Folks that know you and understand what your intentions are, that are willing to
Mhm.
learn. I think that is the best piece of advice I was ever given. Find your tribe.
I love that. And community plays such, I think, an important role, even though you are, a couple. Um, Outside community, I'm sure, plays an important role as well to support you all in your journey. What does that look like for you all?
What does outside community look like? You want me to go? I just keep talking.
It's okay.
I could talk again? Okay. So I think in my 30s now, I have done a much better job at like locating community and friends, real friends, women that are around the same age as me, that are living similar lives. Because at some point, I hope I get this right, I felt like an anomaly. Where like I would go into the doctor's office and I would look around for other people that look like they were living the same lives as me. It was no like younger black girls that, look couldn't attend the support groups that were at 12 o'clock in the afternoon because they had an actual 9 to 5 to go to. It just wasn't my community. But once I found my tribe, like, and they married and got boyfriends and like navigating dating and getting back out. And then they have spouses who are not living with HIV too. And
Mhm.
I know they have so much in common, the men do. So that has been a beautiful thing. Like, if I can call one of my girlfriends who's a mom living with HIV too and be like, yo, today I'm not really feeling this medication thing. Just,
Mhm.
so I ain't got to be politically correct in this situation. I'm just not feeling it. She's not automatically hearing that I'm ready to off myself and I'm ready for this to be over. She might just hear the weariness.
Mhm. Mhm. No, I love that, and I'm so happy that you've kind of found those outside sources. This question is for Dwayne. Have you find outside sources that support, kind of support you and your efforts in the relationship through family or friends?
Well, all my people is kind of same. I just find people that's understanding. So
Hmm.
they understand me. I'm sure they could like accept the things that I'm about to preach to them, or like accept what I'm going through. And if it's not them type of people, then I don't have them around me. And her tribe became my tribe. So
Mm.
her friends became my friends. Her friend husbands became my like people to talk to sometimes. So that's where I'm at with it.
I love that. And from being with a person that has HIV, have you learned anything as far as healthcare goes, preventative health measures, things of that nature that you, like you were saying, are preaching to your circle? Have you learned anything that you are carrying on now to your friends and family outside of the relationship?
Yeah, I've learned a lot and I'm still learning. um and what I preach is like the positive of the HIV. I don't really see anything negative about it. Like I really sometimes forget that she even have it. Like I don't even think of it like for real. So yeah. That's
No, I love that. And I know there are probably a lot of people in the comments that are like, "Ugh, I got to get me a man like Dwayne." And I love that. So I'm going to pivot a little bit here, and I'm going to jump into conversations about PrEP and U equals U. So the U equals U movement, has been super strong over the last couple of years, through media, advertising, conferences, and all of that type of stuff. Is it a constant kind of conversation, within your household and amongst your friends?
uh,
Not within the household, it comes up advocacy. I think that us in the community, we say this a lot. We knew you equals you before they were saying you equals you. Like living with HIV, yeah, HIV in my 20s. I'm 17 years in, and it's like, okay, it has evolved over time. At the beginning, at some point, I remember telling people that it was like a 2% chance of transmission if sex was to happen, or whatever. But then now to be able to say none, like the amount that to be able to say none, and then we've like proven it. We have our own quantitative data over here,
Mhm.
ain't no transmission. got babies and stuff, and is it it just takes such a weight off. I remember early on in the relationship, he was going to the doctor and they told him that he had to come back. So immediately when they say that he gotta come back, my head is automatically going, oh my God, I done gave this man HIV. Oh my God. Like, why it couldn't be something simple like your iron being low? Why it couldn't be something like that? Why do I automatically have to jump to I've transmitted HIV? But something like you equals you, like that's at the bottom of my list of worries. How you feel about
I agree.
Well, and I mean, you all are, a walking testament to the data and to the metrics that, we all follow. And so it's great to kind of see living, thriving, and, outspoken examples of it. You are now on the injectable, correct?
Yeah.
How has that injectable shaped your daily life as a mom, as a soon-to-be wife? Has it made things easier? Has it made things more complicated? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I get my feedback on it first. All right, so I think it's cool except for like 1 week out of those 2 months, because it'd be like pain, like she feel uncomfortable with it. But I mean, after that week of her uncomfort, like it'd be good, like we cool.
Nice, nice. I'm happy to hear that, it's only a little bit of uncomfort, but then you have, a little bit more like accessibility to like your own schedule.
It's not sexy though. You know them little It's not real sexy. I'm grateful for treatment. Like I can get a shot every 8 weeks. Like whoever would have thunk it.
I
And
know.
I never thought that I would trust science so heavily.
Hmm.
When you get diagnosed at first, well, when I did in 2008, they're like, you'll just be on medication for the rest of your life. You'll just take a pill. Thank God that it's not the bunches of pills that they took, back then. We're down to one pill once a
The
day.
cocktails, yeah.
Okay, cool. And now y'all want my mind to wrap around the fact that I'm not taking no pills every day, that I'm taking, dang, I gotta stop with the hands. Um, you want me to trust that this 2 shots are going to hold me over, and they have been though, because I'm one that likes to check my charts, and I like to see if my numbers, if I'm still truly that U equals you, because I like to do U equals you necessary activities. So I like to make sure that we're in a space that a transmission is not going to occur, and these shots have been doing just that. So I'm grateful. Is it worth it? Like right now, I gotta figure out when I'm gonna get the shot so that I'm not hurting for any of our wedding festivities, and like having to, do I want to be in pain this weekend or this weekend of the celebration? Like, so those are things that I have to consider now, but I also don't have to worry about taking a pill bottle out of town with me or making sure that I take that pill every day. So I don't know if I gotta live with HIV and I gotta depend on treatment for it. I'm gonna just keep figuring out the best way that works for me. And right now, that has been good.
No, and I love that. And did you two have a conversation before you switched to the injectable? Were you kind of like, it's this new thing, I'm gonna try it? Like, or was it kind of like, I'm just gonna go do it? Was it a conversation between the two of you, or did you just go out and do it?
Mentioned to me, and I'm like super supportive, so I stand behind her 100%. And it's like we doing it together. So if she in pain, I'm in pain. If she taking it, I'm not taking it, but I mean, I'm behind her. I mean, supporting her.
And we see
I love
commercials
it.
all the time.
Yeah, we do see the competition.
See commercials all the time, and I love when I'm able to point out community that I know her, I know him. Um, so yeah, thank you being so supportive.
No, and I love that. I love that so much. Just going to pivot again. How are you preparing to have conversations about HIV with your children, if you haven't already?
I'm a little more nervous with my daughter.
Mm,
Zion has been me and him. I feel like, that cliche thing that we've grown up together, but we truly have. I got pregnant with him like 2 years after diagnosis. So there's been something that like as when he was little, I would take my pill and he would take a vitamin. So
mm,
the medication part was sort of like normalized. As he's grown older, we are able to have conversations about like what sex with condoms, like that's the expectation, and here are the condoms, and what can happen. Um, we're still on body parts with the baby, and
mm,
it makes me nervous. If I'm completely honest, like having that conversation, but I love that there are tools that are available for, them. So something like PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP even, that I can at least prepare her with those tools whenever she's ready. Hopefully, by the time we get there, I ain't even gotta think about that. There'll be a cure. But then there'll still be something else out there that can be transmitted sexually. Um, so, just equipping them with the information and the
mm.
tools as I learned about them myself.
Absolutely. Like any mom, and dad, there is nerves, talking about that type of stuff can be really, really tricky, no matter how well versed you are in it. You have spoken in front of hundreds of people about it. You're an advocate, the two of you have such a great open, communicative relationship. But yeah, definitely transitioning that skill, that thought process to your kids would be super. I can't imagine. So good luck on that journey. I know the tools out there are much better than what we had, when we were probably their age. So that's exciting though. I would be nervous as well. And we're getting so many comments. People are loving you all and loving your love. This is great. So I'm going to jump into another question here. Um, Looking across different conditions in mixed relationships like sickle cell disease, mental health, epilepsy, what shared lessons can we take from HIV-related stigma let me rephrase this. Looking in mixed relationships, what is something that you would want to tell other people who are in mixed relationships to keep at the forefront of their mind as they go through this journey?
Um, Real quick, I would say just support and understand your partner. Be in it like for truth and not like just an experience or something you want to try.
Mm,
Yeah, that's it.
I like that.
yeah, I like that too. Not something you want to try. It's definitely dedication, right? It's definitely for the long haul. Absolutely. Anything from you, Cece? What would you say to somebody?
So, as from the perspective, is the person living with HIV, I would tell like a person living with HIV, um, like acceptance is like low bar. Like
Mm,
just because you accept my HIV status does not mean that I have to accept all of, I don't have to what they settle, because I'm living with HIV. Like, because I feel like in the dating world, there's sort of like the expectation sometimes. If you disclose that you are living with HIV, then other folks may feel comfortable. I've experienced it, make me feel comfortable to disclose something else that okay, I'm grateful that you accepted my status. Thank you. However, and I'm still this is still not something that I'm willing to accept. So
mm,
I think that could be true for anyone. Like if someone's living with a mental health condition and you find acceptance in a partner, that doesn't mean that you have to take all of their stuff. You
mm,
can still have boundaries and goals and aspirations for yourself. Maybe that just is not your person. And and I definitely agree with like that understanding because while HIV um may be my thing, you know, there are still things together that we as a couple work together and that, you know, I support him through. I Instagram told me because it is so I don't know what the post was, but it was like HIV should make any relationship work. And I was like, why is that? Just because he's
Right.
accepted my HIV status, that means the relationship is just guaranteed to work. And I'm just in there.
People say crazy things, right? And there was actually a comment in the chat that I wanted to highlight because I think it's really important to this conversation. Like a major root of stigma. Where did it go? A major root of stigma is misinformation. Knowledge becomes an act of love. A partner who is negative but supportive becomes an ally, not a threat. And I just love that because, like I was saying, stigma kind of grows and changes as we grow and change. As you know, stigma today is very different than stigma, 10, 15, 20 years ago, especially because of social media, especially because of movies, TV, film, all of that stuff. So yeah, I wanted to note that. So I'm going to jump into another question here. Um, as far as your goals in moving forward after you get married, what's on the horizon for the two of you besides dealing with HIV? What do you have, going for you that you're excited about?
Yeah, home owning, business together, just a couple things there.
Yeah, I'm excited to travel and like I'm like now at this point in my life where I'm actually like thinking about getting old.
Mm.
And I am looking forward to like growing old with
Mm.
like I spent so much of my younger years like trying to not be here and then I got the diagnosis so like I'm fighting to be here and now it's like oh I might actually be here. And I'm looking forward to it.
No, and that's such a real feeling. Like, oh my gosh, how has that like changed? Like was it a gradual change? Was it immediate? Like, oh, I'm another year older. Like, how has that like affected you?
So when I first got diagnosed, I looked on the Google to see how long the life expectancy was for somebody living with HIV. And you can imagine like 2008 Google and a lack of like really women-centered HIV related information. So I Googled and it was at the time I think it gave me like 20 years. So that changed so much of the trajectory of my life whatever I read. You know, I probably could have read a few different websites that one's like you could live 45 years, one says you could live 20, and of course I'm gonna go for the low number. Like I can make
Mhm.
um and it changed the trajectory in my life because then I started doing like math. I was like, okay, so if I have a kid now, then by the time that kid is 18, I'll be 40. So like I can make it to 18. I can see that child graduate from high school. And so many ways I feel like I rushed my life because of that diagnosis. Like I needed to
Mhm.
squeeze in a lot of life really quickly because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. When in reality, that's true for everybody. Nobody knows how long they're going to be here, whether they're living with HIV or not. And so the years did just start adding on, and I'm still here. Now we're about to be close to 40, which is the expectancy that me and Google placed on my life at the beginning. And
Wow.
like almost there and life is looking good and it doesn't seem like it's about to end. Like I feel well. I feel happy.
Mhm.
I feel so what does the other side of this look like? Actually like a grown woman.
And have you started planning differently because of that?
Yeah, I might need some retirement. You know, I might
Mhm.
I might need some, some life insurance. I might, because it's serious now. I have kids and I'm going to be a wife and life is for real.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's really for real.
No, and I love that perspective on it because so many people living with HIV, I think, did get to that point where they were like, oh, my labs look good. I'm still here. I guess I should invest in that A, B, or C. I should invest in myself in like the long term. I think especially those who were diagnosed, we'll say in the early 90s, mid 90s, where things were still a little bit shaky. So I think that's a amazing pivot to kind of have. Has there been any point in the relationship where things got a little scary because of HIV, because of like something that was going on with HIV, whether it be an illness or an outside threat? I know you're online a lot. Has anything gotten dicey where you really two have had to come together and like discuss a plan of action?
If I'm creative with my response, some is the like responding to online criticism.
Mhm.
So he'll be ready to go cuss anybody out. It's like, no, 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 I don't need you to do that. Because I can't imagine, and I'm going to ask you that question, like, but I can't imagine how hard it has to be watching somebody that you love be abused in any sense of the word or mistreated and like wanting to get out and defend. How does it watching people on the internet say crazy stuff or
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like nobody doing anything negative to you, so I gotta be a man and defend my lady at the end of the day. So
That must be real. I mean, that would be really difficult. I would be because I'm an online gangster with my words. So I can't imagine. And you put it all out there, which I appreciate about UCC because you really, you challenge stigma head on. You let people know that things are going to be okay, that they're worthy of, love, relationships, children, and that no experience is too far gone. Like they can have it all, and so putting it all out there is courageous. Is you're defying the odds, which is amazing. I've been following you online for a long time. What keeps you going when those negative comments come about? When you log on and you got a million comments on a post that happened to, not be really informed. Like, do you take the time to kind of go in there and educate? Do you keep just posting and hope that they get it? Like, that would be so difficult for me.
depends on what day of the week you get me on and how I'm doing that day. So, and a lot of it also is determined by like how I'm approached. So if you're clearly approaching a situation without like you're just there to be mean and nasty, I might meet your energy. I might
Mhm.
actually meet your energy because you thought you was being smart or you thought that you was being funny and this really ain't funny. This somebody real life that you talk.
Mhm.
Some days I can ignore those comments. Other days that is my fuel for where I know I need to sit in my next piece of content. Like, oh, this pissed y'all off. Okay, let me let me go back here. Or that is it's identifying a gap in awareness and knowledge. Like, oh, y'all didn't know that women living with HIV exist. Y'all didn't
Mhm.
know that we're in relationships. You didn't know that we're having sex. You didn't know we're having babies. Oh, so this is where I need to stay. I do like to educate though. I like to educate and pretty much use my life as a resource for education. I'm not the only way that there is to navigate an HIV diagnosis. Other folks do it way differently.
Mhm.
Follow them, follow all of us so that you might be different on different days too. You might need the gangster that is me, at least the gangster that's in my head. Some days, you know, I'm a gangster.
100%. 100%. The courage is unmatched, you know. But I learned a long time ago not to mess with the Philly girl, so I understand. I'm going to jump into a bit of your advocacy work and kind of how that has impacted, your life. What is kind of your favorite thing to discuss when you are facing, an opportunity to speak in front of Black women?
Ooh, what is my most favorite thing? Is that like it's our responsibility to take care of us. My friend Masanya Trailer says this so well. Like many of us contracted the virus or acquired the virus from someone that we loved. So it's
Mm,
like it's a breach of trust. It's a
mm,
breach of so many things. And like so now I'm living with HIV because I trusted somebody. And I made an Instagram video that made it into the end of our documentary, Unexpected. And in that video is like, have you ever been cheated on? Did your partner get the person tested that they cheated on you with? Did they make them use a condom? Like those, because I know so many women that can share stories of infidelity or, you not being the only one that is sleeping with your man at the same time. So, like, I contracted HIV via sex, like heterosexual sex. That's how I got it. And that's how many of us make babies. That's how, the rates of so many other STDs and STIs can be what they are because we're having sex. So I don't want you to have like I don't want you to think that you are not what they say, HIV possible.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as far as advocacy goes and outreach goes, within your line of work, how have you changed maybe like your language or your approach now being, in a relationship with a baby, about to get married? Is there a different way that you approach, HIV possible Black women now versus how you might have done it before?
Um, I feel like as I get older now, at 37, like it was my goal to really reach the youth. I don't think
Mm,
I resonate with so much anymore, but that is my goal. I was a young girl, like young. And so when I see or listen to some of the music, when I scroll down social media sometimes, and just all this stuff, you just scrolling and you might not have been horny or anything, but by the time you get down that feed, you might be feeling a certain type of way because everything is so sexually driven. And the music that we listen to, the TV that we watch, the ads sometimes even. And so expecting for younger folks to not act on those feelings or to act on them not educated, not knowing what the possibilities are for waiting for them, out there. I feel like that is a group that is certainly underserved. Um,
mm,
so now my advocacy has sort of grown with me. I wasn't talking about having no darn kids when I gave my first speech. So now I'm talking about, like I'm tired. I done took everybody to the hospital this week or to the doctor. I done took the dad that I'm caretaking for. I done took both of the kids. I done took the man. And now it's time for my doctor's appointment. I don't feel like it.
mm. And this question is for Dwayne. So you're not necessarily at the forefront like Cece is, but are there ways that you advocate and kind of do outreach in your own way for individuals that you might come into contact with, whether it's friends or at work? Is there a way that you're educating?
Um, a little bit. At work, when I share my partner status, I just yeah, she living with HIV, and they ask how do it affect me? Am I like affected by it in any way or whatever? So I just let them know it's not what is all. It's not all negative. Like all the stigma and everything is like different, you know. So I share my words on it, and I just let them know that I keep myself protected, so I'm fine.
Would you say that some of the stigma that you're hearing is coming from like the real old school, like 80s, 90s trains of thought, or are you hearing newer stigma that's kind of developed?
It's more old school, like more.
Mm,
The newer kids or the newer generation, I would say, is more like knowledgeable to it. So they might not know everything, but they know something. You know, they or they experience something with it. You know, so
well, that makes me happy because it means we're doing our job, right? When the newer kids are a little bit more educated and not steeped in kind of old school stigma. No, that makes me really happy. So this
Can I
question is,
I want to say
of
something.
course.
Like I think with the younger kids too, they're watching HIV be navigated so much differently.
Hmm.
It's just like it can be a chronic condition. I get it and then I just take my pill and everything is all right. And I sit in that space often because I don't want to give that false sense of like living a life like, no, this still ain't what you want. But if you were to acquire it, you can live.
I think that's a really good point because I always ask this question on a lot of these things that I'm on. Do you think the new generation, kind of like Dwayne said, do you think the new generation is too comfortable? Like it's not in their face as much as it was when we were younger? And is that dangerous? Like, what do you think about that, especially as, parents?
Do you remember saying a lot of stuff about
no,
HIV?
I was just thinking that too. Like back in the day, it wasn't a lot of commercials or even a lot of talk about it. Like some people knew, but it wasn't as much in your face as it is today.
Mm, hmm.
You
It's
wonder
interesting.
if it's
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, I wonder, when you buy a car and then you see everybody else got the same car, if it's that same type of effect, like because now HIV is a part of our lives, or
Mhm.
just like more honing into it. Because if I were to like ask my son, like, how much do you hear HIV outside of me? I really am interested to know what his answer would be.
Hmm. I remember, the Magic Johnson, coming out, and there were a lot of HIV movies in the late 80s and 90s, and so I feel like it was there, but not in the positive sense of progression and medication, and we're fighting this thing. It was always in kind of this negative, sense. So it's interesting, like the perception that everyone has, right? It would be interesting to see what your son says, or any kid that isn't in kind of the HIV space. Like, have you heard about it? Do you know what PrEP is? Do you know what PEP is? That would definitely be interesting. When you both think of the future of HIV, um, outside of like your relationship, what do you hope you know you all can kind of leave behind in your example of like a mixed couple, like for other mixed couples that might be struggling? What is something that you hope that they maybe take away from this conversation?
I think, well, it depends on why they're struggling, because HIV only a part of it. So you
Mm-hmm.
struggling because of the bills. You might be struggling because of the kids. You might be struggling just because life is hard right now. So it might not, if y'all have made it that far to be a couple, HIV probably is not at the top of the list of what they.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like continue to, learn each other, figure it out. If it is HIV that is the central issue, what about the HIV? And I'm not doing too much back and forth with you. Because if HIV is the issue, that's not going to change for me. At least that's what I have heard in my lifetime, is that that's not going to change. So I can't go back and forth if that is something that you can't deal with. That's not, if that's what was going to be an issue, we was just going to have to end it. Like, 'cause I can't do that with you.
No, absolutely. And then as far as like family goes, and I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but for those that might be positive that are struggling with family, right? Like, what words of encouragement might you have for them?
Is it okay? I'll go. I the same answer I gave earlier, find your tribe.
Mm,
And that I learned, got that bit of advice early on, but then I got to watch it play out in real life once I really got into HIV advocacy world. I come from a very close family, like I have siblings, mom, dad, so I've always had sort of those built-in relationships where I always felt loved, and my HIV status didn't change that. So I went out into the world with a confidence of love. Um, Other folks don't have that, and it's so unfortunate, and it makes me sad, like, because that's not my experience. Like, how could they treat you like that? No, let's
mhm.
go fuss it. Let's go. I'll go with you to their house. So there'll be a lot of HIV at one time, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm that type of person. And but to see that you can build a tribe and you can build a family, you can have a chosen family. So maybe it's not just sister by blood, but this is someone who has showed up for me in ways more than my sister by blood has ever. So I'm gonna keep this one on my team. Or I need maternal advice right now. Here, I have these folks that I can go to for that maternal advice. I don't even know what question I'm answering anymore, but I think I did it.
You answered it, I promise you. I promise you answered it. And I think, we're always coming back to that term, like finding your community, finding your tribe. And I think that's really, really important because there needs to be support in all different ways. Like you said, not just with HIV, but, with relationship support, child support, just all of that I think is, super, super important. I'm going to ask you all one last question, and then I'm going to open up the floor to the room because I'm sure they have some questions for you all. So my last question for you is, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
I'm gonna be almost 50. Good Lord. Do I see myself? I don't know. I don't have any expectations. Like, if I had to go for like a goal, it's gonna be an emotion. Like, I just want to be happy. Like, I want to be peaceful. I really just want to be chilling. Like, that's the one. I want to be chilling. You want to
And
be
you doing
chilling? Okay, we want to be chilling.
And I love that because I want to be chilling too.
Yep. And a good space, not worried about no negativity, just
Mhm.
keep elevating.
Absolutely, absolutely, I love it, and I'm hoping myself that in the next 10 years, hopefully sooner, we see more mixed status couples being displayed in movies and media and commercials, because I think this conversation and this imagery just needs to be more normalized because we really don't hear a lot about us. And I think the more people see it, the more people understand that it's possible, the more people see that love is accessible like this, the better off, we all will be. So I am going to open up the floor to any questions anyone has. Feel free to write them in the chat and we will address them. It looks like we have a couple here. This is a question about your healthcare providers. How would you describe your relationship with them? Are they responsive to your needs? Are you happy with them? Are they supportive with other things like financing or insurance coverage?
So I'll go first, but I think you can also answer that one too. Um, so navigating healthcare has become like really, really hard. I don't know if I'm just the only one experiencing this, but it has been a challenge. How the I have a health insurance, but then I gotta go to providers that's in the system, but I've been with this provider and I want to keep them, but I can't, so I gotta start over here. Um, so building a relationship with the provider is something I long for because I haven't found myself in a space that I've been able to stay somewhere long enough, consistently enough, that I feel like I have that relationship. Sometimes it's sparked by the fact that I don't feel like my needs are being met. And I have to go somewhere else to go find where those needs are being met. And I'm kind of feeling that way right now with a provider that I have. I just feel like I'm not being listened to. So it's not, I'm going to the doctor now out of necessity versus like me really being engaged in my healthcare. Just go ahead, get these labs, send me my script, do whatever you want to do, because that's it.
Yeah, well, with my healthcare providers, they ask me every time I go if I want to get tested for HIV. So like and then I obviously I agree, but when they ask about my partner, like it's really no issue or anything. Like long as I'm on any medication that they provide, or as long as I'm like HIV negative, like they're cool with it. It's no issue.
And I love
I
that
know.
they HIV test because they rarely, I went to the darn OBGYN and they didn't even say nothing, ask me nothing about my partner. You know I'm living with HIV and you ain't said nothing about my partner. I'm here for an IUD, so clearly something's happening.
Hmm. That's so interesting. Yeah, I just feel like those questions need to be part of that main, especially when they know you're coming in and they see your history. Like, come on now, like full service. I have a question from Lizzie. Where can we find the documentary that you all worked on?
Oh, so that documentary is called Unexpected. It was released on World AIDS Day, I believe 2023, and it was on Hulu. I'm not sure if it's still available there, but it was like daytime Emmy nominated, and it's a story following Messiah Trailer, an advocate out of Atlanta, myself, and talking about Black women supporting other Black women as they like give birth and all the things. So Unexpected Hulu. Oh, thank you.
It looks like Cindy just put it in the chat. Perfect. And then I have a question here. Have you ever cried in front of each other because of stigmatizing attitudes or comments that you've received online? And have you like called them out? You know, how have they made you feel to like each other?
I cry all the time.
Yeah.
I cry all the time. One of like I'm not very like emotional, but I'm very sensitive. And so like emotions a lot of times for me can come out as anger. You know what you could tell one of my favorite emotions is like happy. I love to be smiling, jovial, all of that. But then it can also be just as strong as something like sadness. And I think one of the first times, because it took me about 5 years before I ever went like viral on social media. So I had built up this really supportive community. And then one day something just started happening. Like my posts started getting sent to weird people
Mm,
that were not in my network of folks. And now where I'm usually in my comment section able to share this love and like thanking folks for support. Now in that same comment section, I'm seeing stuff like throw up faces and like calling me selfish in the middle of postpartum while I'm breastfeeding this baby to be called selfish and my edges are falling out felt so bad. It felt like I am in the worst position of my life to give this baby the best chance at hers. And y'all going, call me selfish. Felt
mm,
so offended. And understanding that folks are entitled to their opinions and stuff, but it's like, no, but you don't get it. Like, you don't know what it's like. You've never lived with HIV. You've never had to make this decision before. You can't tell me what you would do because you ain't been here. So, yeah.
mm. Now that would be, again, like I said before, that would be really difficult for me because these thumbs would have gone to work.
You can't beat up everybody. Like it works after a while, but then they like start ganging up on you. But now I've taken it easier. Like I laugh at them most of the time because some of the times it don't even make sense what they be saying. Like, so,
You can tell they're coming from a ill-informed place. They don't know about all the advances that we've had, in HIV prevention and care. And, it's like unfortunate because there's so much out there right now. So much. Um, I want to jump back to, there was a question here. I'm probably not going to be able to find it because it was way up at the top. But it talked about the process of breastfeeding your baby. So they wanted to know about what that process looked like.
oh, that was a very difficult decision to make. I breastfed in 2021 before the guidelines were updated in the United States. And the guidelines did eventually end up getting updated in 2023. And doing the work that I do with the Well Project and my position, like we just were really positioned well to be able to have input into what those guidelines look like. And some of that input that we were able to give was because it was experiences that we were hearing from the community, experiences of mine. There's this line in the guidelines that says like child protective services should not be engaged because that is what happened to me. Um, while I was just questioning, I was just inquiring about whether or not I would be able to breastfeed. And the third rebuttal from that provider was if you do breastfeed, then you would need to keep that quiet because our pediatrician is known to call child protective services on parents that breastfeed. So
Mm,
it had been a provider that I had been with for 10 years. And now this breastfeeding decision for a baby that was only about 6 or 7 weeks inside my belly. We don't even know if this baby is going to stick yet. And that I had to make a hard decision then to like go start piecing my care together. So it's very important for parents that want to breastfeed. You have to have that team together because anyone at any point could sabotage your plan. So I had to go find an infectious disease doctor. I had to go find a OBGYN. I had to go find a pediatrician. And those supports, thank God that some of those were already together for me, but those supports are how I felt like I built this like force field around me of all of my providers were on the same page. They were okay with supporting me in whichever way I decided to feed my baby because it was not an easy decision. Some days I go in there like I'm going to breastfeed, then I come back and like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because I would be that less than 1%. And then I go in and but they did that with me. It was very hard, but the first moment and Dwayne was there with me and then like we got to experience that together, which was amazing. Um, the moment that like the nurses put Zuri on my chest and it was like this permission as a
mm,
like I was getting the okay from providers. I couldn't understand why everybody wasn't all up in arms, even though this is what I had fought for was for everybody to not be all up in arms. But it was like finally happening and the baby latched like she was naturally supposed to do and it was working. I was like, whoa. And we did that for 7 months. And Zuri took prophylaxis while I breastfed, and then a month afterwards, and she's still negative. Both of my babies are negative.
I love that story. And you've told me that story before, but I wanted all the people out there to hear it because it just really is blazing a trail, blazing a trail. I got a question here. Can you share your disclosure experience and advice for people to do it safely, which is a big question that I get actually a lot.
How did I tell you about my status?
Oh, she just told me straight up. Yeah, like just up front. Just be up front.
It was like the first date.
Yeah.
We were just really vibing, and I don't like to get too far into a situation and then disclose or share my status, and that be the reason. Because I've
Mhm.
experienced before. Like now I'm beating myself up again because of a status. But my status so darn old. My status is a teenager. And I'm beating myself up again behind like, no, that was like young boy stuff. So I like to be pretty forward with it and just in the middle of talking, the conversation didn't stop. He didn't stop calling. We didn't stop hanging out. We actually had sex. And then that was it.
And the rest is history. I love it. I love it. I love it. Are there any more questions? If you have any more questions, put it in the chat. I want to respect our speakers' time. So we're going to end promptly at 5:45. But if there are any other questions, please put them in the chat. Let me see.
I just want to say thank you, everybody. I've been seeing the comments come up, but I can't like um respond to each one. But thank you, Tiffany. I saw you. A big shout out. I just like grateful. Do we have to wait another year for a part 2? Oh, they talking to you.
We listen, we try to have people like CC and Dwayne on all the time. We try to do programming like this from people in the community for people in the community. It is very important. Obviously respect to our doctors and our nurse practitioners and all that, but we here really like to hear from the people with lived experience, and that is really, really important. So there will definitely be a part 2, a part 3, a part 8. So just continue to kind of stay locked in with us and stay tuned, because this is not the first and the last. And I'm going to say, while I have your attention, please, 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 if you liked this conversation, fill out the evaluation that my colleague just put in the chat, because it helps us continue to bring this type of dialogue. So before you jump out, before you log out, please take 2 to 3 minutes to click on that link and fill out the evaluation, so that we can continue to bring amazing conversations like this and amazing people like Cece and Dwayne. Any other questions for my lovely couple? I see a lot of so many comments. The chat is on fire. I'm a provider for children with HIV for the past 40 years. You are my hero. Thank you. Listen, I see Nini K, you raised your hand. So I'm going to take you off mute and allow you to talk. Go ahead, Miss Nini.
Hi, I'm sorry. Actually, that was a mistake. But since you have me unmuted, I'm just going to say, I want to say thank you both. Your story is so beautiful. Please keep doing and please being an advocate for persons living with HIV and even other chronic diseases. I think you all are just a blessing. So thank you so much for your story.
Thank you so much, Nini. You see, a beautiful accident, right? All right. Are there any other questions? Let's see. We got 5 more minutes, and I just want to honor everyone's time. Any more questions? Sean, listen, I'm gonna bring you off mute, but if this is an accident, go ahead, Sean.
It is not an accident. I've been trying so hard to get in here. Look, I just want to say I love you all. I love the fact that hearing heterosexual stories as an advocate, myself, a woman living with HIV now for 36 years, being able to hear that is so beautiful. And we need more stories. And like I stated in the comments, we need more advertisement for heterosexual, especially the Black community. Question to you both, though. Oh, excuse me. You guys have such a loving relationship. I love it. I love it. When you guys do, and I might have came in late, you might have answered this already, but when you guys are together and people, have that, I want to say that churchy attitude, like, oh, they want to turn their nose up, rather than walking away, how do you guys handle that? Or is that something you already disclosed? And if it is, I'm sorry I missed it.
Mhm. Oh, Mika?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All that.
Um, so I'm not like the best person to ask a question like this. So like, cause I'll turn my nose up too. Cause like you turning your nose up to me because I'm living with HIV, and I'm turning my nose up to you because your breath stinks. Like we are just not the same type of person. When there is like always a reason why we could judge the next person, and if you choose a health condition that I did not choose, like that's just really mean and nasty. I like to think that those folks with their nose up in the air or whatever, like I would hope that they give themselves more grace, than sometimes that they are willing to offer other people. But I like to identify them. You're just not a part of my tribe. Like, if you feel that way, it's cool. We could act like we never even knew each other.
I love it because why waste time? Why waste time, right? I love it. So if there aren't any more questions in the chat, I am going to say thank you so much, Cece, Dwayne. Continue living this fabulous, amazing life that you all are building for yourselves. Hug your children tight. I love that they are thriving. And thank you so much for joining us and being honest and sharing your truth. Like it really is meaningful to me as someone that is in a mixed relationship, but also to all of our learners and viewers here. So thank you. And I really hope to run into you again, Cece.
Thank you. This was phenomenal. Thank y'all for joining.
Of course. And again, y'all, please, 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 please fill out that evaluation. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Leo Sheridan from Health HIV on the Empower program in conjunction with Howard University. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night.